will start the recording as well.
All right, it looks like we are now recording. Folks at home, if you have any difficulty with the way you're watching, this meeting is viewable in 3 ways.
I do want to note, I am actually getting an error message on the LMC TV. Hello?
From what I can tell, Thomas is sort of speaking, but I think losing his connection. Amber, were you saying that maybe we're not as live as we want to be?
So the live on LMC TV, I'm getting an error message. I'm not sure why that's happening. So we are recording the meeting. The webinar is open. The attendees who have logged in via the link on the agenda appear to be on. We're just, it says live on custom streaming service.
Yeah, I just sent you the link,
What link?
if that helps. I went to where it says custom live streaming service and I was able to get a link to it to see if that would help you in any way.
Is it live? Are we?
It says custom live streaming live. So
can you see us on it?
let me,
So there's a button that I press in Zoom that
okay, I'm checking.
Links what we're doing here to
yes, it's live. I just went.
Great,
it's live.
thank you so much. I have an error message that says it's not working, but I see on the top left, live on custom streaming.
I just went onto it, yes.
Yeah,
Either way, we'll have hopefully the recording. All right, so we should be all set. Thank you.
I'm having persistent difficulties with the internet. I keep losing my connection. Am I the only one?
No, you are the only one, but you were just consistently gone and now you seem to be back. So I think we could hope that you're back now.
I hope. Okay. Hopefully I maintain a good connection. So Amber, do we now know whether we have all 3 of our connections? You're muted. Still muted, Amber.
Sorry, it says that we're live on custom streaming service and we appear to be streaming live now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
We have a raised hand. I don't know, Chair, if you want to address that.
Oh, I don't see the raised hand.
It's in the attendees.
It's in the attendees.
Okay. They're just trying to get in to start
Okay.
their meeting, which is fine. Okay, so we are once again available by YouTube, LMC TV, and Zoom. However folks want to participate, and if you are watching, we're glad that you are consistently interested in village affairs. Motion to open the meeting. Do I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion, the meeting is open. Housekeeping, the 1165 Grecian Point Road application that was originally on the agenda for this meeting. The applicant has once again elected to push it to the agenda for the next meeting because they have not yet been able to get the county to give them the permit that they're waiting for. They are, I understand, doing their best to move that process forward, and they believe the application is stronger with that permit. So I expect we may not see them until they get it. Certainly this evening we will not, as is their right. So we have 2 applicant items of new business. 124 Palmer Avenue, and we can call that applicant now.
Good evening, Commissioner, members of HCZM. Just I'll wait for my clients to be promoted as presenters. And
So if you could raise your hand, I can promote you to panelist so that you can present.
Commissioner, I wonder, one day I'm going to log on here. I'm going to hear you guys pulling the draft for like the Knicks and the Lakers. Because I'm going to think of commissioner. I'm thinking of like the NBA. So I'm just waiting for you guys to like have that little like ping pong thing. And
So we have a Londa and a Scott Greenberg. Is there anyone else that you were looking
Amber,
for?
we got Eric Londa, Scott, and I believe Brian Dempsey should be.
He appears to be.
Wonderful. Full house. Let me know when you're ready to roll and we'll jump right in. Okay.
If my internet connection holds up, I'm ready to hear your presentation.
I'll talk really fast, make sure you're hold up. Okay. Good evening, Commissioner, members of HCZM. Andrew Spatz, 650 Halsted Avenue, Suite 105, Mamaroneck, New York, 10543 for the applicant, LRE Ferris LLC. This is regarding the premises known as 124 Palmer Avenue here in the village of Mamaroneck. We understand that the applicant is required to appear before HCZM due to section 240-5.11 of the village code, as the premises does exceed 8,000 square feet, but since there will be no work performed at all to the exterior of the premises, we would ask for consistency finding to be granted in an expedited manner. Just by way of background, Star Stock, who's the tenant going into 124 Palmer Avenue, provides a marketplace for sports fans and card hobbyists to buy, sell, and invest in their favorite athletes and sports teams. By way of background, this is a $5 to $10 billion industry, and our proprietor, Scott Greenberg, who's present on our call this evening, lives in Orienta and actually was raised in a tennis school here in the village of Mamaroneck. This unique platform provides a means where cards, football, baseball, basketball, and soccer are sent to the location and are processed, certified, graded, and archived. And once this is done, it's actually sent and shipped elsewhere for safekeeping. We plan to return back to the planning board, hopefully on May 26th, a week from this evening, because of Article 11, Section 342.75B, which requires approval for any change of use or intensity of a premises other than a 1 or 2 family dwelling. And obviously this is not a 1 or 2 family dwelling. I'm pleased to share though, and this is very, I think, relevant to Commissioner and interest that anyone on the HCZM may have, that none of the parameters that are set forth in that section 342.75B will be impacted by the intended use by the tenant. Specifically, no issues with parking, loading, circulation, drainage, utilities, landscaping, or outdoor lighting. In fact, the proposed use will be less intensive than the use currently that previously was used by New York Sports Club. I'm sure many of you have passed by there or were members of New York Sports Club. Moreover, section 342, attachment number 3 reflects the fact that the applicant would not require any off-street parking as the property is located in the C2 commercial district and there's no plan to increase the existing floor space at all. It should be noted that Article 8, Section 342.50 of our code also reflects that off-street parking is not required in C2 Central Commercial District. As conveyed previously during our presentation before the Planning Board on March 24th, a successful business was previously operating out of 124 Palmer Avenue, but like many other businesses, suffered devastation during COVID. However, out of this misfortune, an opportunity has been created for a local resident to open business here in the village. The potential use is extremely unique and tech-based, paving the opportunity to provide employment and hands-on internship experiences for students here in the community. Budding entities like Star Stock are certainly a part of the vitality and great appeal of Mamaroneck. Hence, we would ask the members of HCZM to assist however possible in allowing Star Stock to realize this endeavor. So I'm present, our proprietor is present, so is the landlord, and we also have Brian Dempsey available for any questions that you may have. Oh, I think someone's frozen.
Thank you, Mr. Spatz.
Okay.
I guess I. Did you have difficulty hearing me?
We can hear you.
Okay. I just want to confirm my understanding. There are no exterior changes at all to the building?
Chair,
No, no,
Commissioner.
no different impermeable surface?
Nothing.
And there's no change to how the water will be handled coming off the building?
Absolutely none.
Okay. I think those are the questions I had coming in. I will throw it next to Lisa Chisa.
We saw that, Chair, and thank you. We watched the work session and you made that very clear, Commissioner. We appreciate that. That's why we made sure to hit that up. So thanks for having that dialogue during the work session.
I don't have any questions. Everything seems very clear.
Thank you.
I don't know. Is everyone frozen?
Yeah, Lisa,
Andrew,
you
I
and I
can
seem,
see.
you and I are the only ones that are moving. Okay, all right.
Oh, there.
My-
Seamus.
I'm shutting my camera off to preserve
Okay.
bandwidth. We appear to have a bandwidth issue here. Okay. Randy, questions?
Nope. Seems very straightforward.
Seamus?
Yeah, just a quick confirmation. I think it's what you just addressed. Does that mean the building continues to use whatever stormwater management plan was already in place? Is that how that works?
Whatever infrastructure, whatever previous exists, exactly. There is absolutely no change.
Okay, thanks. That's all I had.
Thank you.
And Andrew?
No questions for me.
Okay, so I guess the next question is, do all the commissioners believe we have enough information in front of us for a consistency determination? Now, I understand that it's unusual for us to vote consistency on a first visit, but we've conferred with council, especially under these circumstances. Review is appropriate. And only if
Thomas, I'm not sure everyone can hear you.
we believe that we have enough information. Oh boy, is that better?
That is better. Yeah.
Okay. So we've conferred with council, and while we historically have not done consistency determinations on the first meeting, which is usually an initial review, given these circumstances with no exterior changes, we've been advised by council that we can, if the commissioners believe they have enough information to vote. I'm going to go ahead and say that I believe I do. Andrew?
Yes, I have enough information to vote.
Okay, Lisa?
Yes, I have enough
Seamus?
information.
Seamus?
Yes.
Randy?
Yes.
Okay, then we are ready for a vote. I move that we find clean consistency for this applicant, 124 Palmer Avenue. Andrew?
I'll second. Oh, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Andrew?
Yes,
Seamus?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Randy?
Yes.
I vote in the affirmative. We are unanimous.
Wonderful. That's phenomenal. Thank you very much. Mr. Gates, just briefly, as a matter of procedure, is it possible that the res could be provided in advance of the next meeting? I think, the 26th, which is a week from tonight. Is there a likelihood it was in? Obviously, pending availability on the agenda, we may be able to appear.
Sorry, which board are you referring to?
Amber, I'm inquiring about whether or not we could appear before planning next week. I don't know if the agenda's already been set. If it has, and we understand. Fortunately, planning meets twice a month. But again, we have a landlord with a tenant.
That is anticipated. So
Wonderful.
it was pending
Beautiful.
approval here tonight.
Beautiful. Great. We will because they've already made the date change on the signage, which is great. Wonderful. So thank you, Amber. And thank you, Commissioner members of HCZM, because we do believe that applications like this truly are the vitality and lifeline of our community. So thank you for being understanding and facilitating this in a diligent manner. So Thank you.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Spatz. Mr. Greenberg, have a good night.
Good night.
All right, our next applicant is 275 Mamaroneck Avenue, and we can call them.
Good evening. My name is Adriana Kiersbaum. I work with Mr. Paul Noto of the firm of Dorf and Nelson, and we are here to represent the Life Church at 275 Mamaroneck Avenue. We appreciate the opportunity to appear before you. We were just recently at the planning board last week, and we are here for similar reasons to the prior applicant, namely a consistency determination that was required by the building inspector. At the last meeting at the planning board last week, we received a type 2 action on SECRA, and the SECRA process was concluded. It is a church, and the town of Mamaroneck has already granted the exemption status for the church. And so this evening I have with me my team, the associate pastor, Adam Bartlett, and the architect Barry Hearn, who also appeared at the planning board last week. Most of the changes are to the interior and interior renovation, because as you all know, it was a CVS and a dry cleaners. There's going to be a minor facade work on the outside, which the architect can go into a little bit more detail. But all the changes that are envisioned are not going to impact any stormwater issues. We're going to continue to use what is in place at the present time. There's not going to be an issue with parking because, as you know, there's a municipal lot adjacent to this building in the back. So we don't intend to have any issues with that. So our hope is that in the review tonight, that because we believe the project is consistent with the local waterfront revitalization plan, that we will be able to have a determination on the consistency, and if possible, appear at the planning board next week, forgive me. Do you have my colleagues, Adam Bartlett and Barry Hearn?
Yes.
Terrific. Thank you so much. Oh, I do want to say that we did send a letter on May 18th, 2021. Do you have that on the record from Mr. Noto?
We do, I think.
Terrific. Thank you so much. I now defer to Mr. Adam Bartlett, who prepared the application, and Mr. Barry Hearn, who's the architect, for any questions you may have.
I think it looks like Thomas might have dropped for a minute. Probably the only thing that I would benefit from would be just the very, very briefest of discussions of that facade work, the exterior work, and why it, has no impact on stormwater.
Okay, my name's Barry Hearn. I am the architect for the project. On the exterior of the building, the two sides and the rear is going to be painted. That is the only thing we're doing there. The front elevation has brick veneer, a storefront system, and then a metal facade up above the storefront system. The metal facade is in very bad condition. There are holes deteriorating, and we're replacing the storefront just to update it a little bit more energy efficient. It basically goes back as it is right now, and we're replacing the metal siding with synthetic stucco. It does not change the footprint at all, nor affect drainage issues.
Seamus, if you were trying to talk, you were mute.
Oh, no, thank you for that description. And I should have said that. Yeah, no, that answers my question. Thank you.
Okay, I'm back. I apologize for my poor internet connection this evening. I'm trying to manage it as best I can. So I just want to, since there are some exterior changes, I want to back up and get two things. can the applicants tell me the age of the building?
I would guess it's in the 75 to 80-year-old range, easy, if not older. We've been in and we've done a little exploratory work on it, but we weren't able to do a whole lot. But it's the original building is a wood frame building inside with masonry walls. And it's at least 80 years old, probably 100.
That makes this, that says to me that we have to deal with the issue of potential SHPO listability. I didn't see anything in the application that dealt with this. Of course, it doesn't come up with any with every building, but if something is eligible for SHPO listing, that falls within our conservation parameters. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a problem, but it's a box that we always check. Is it a SHPO listable building? If it's 80 years, then we have to confirm that it's not eligible.
With the fact that it was previously
I believe we're
Me,
losing Adriana as well. Do others agree? Yep.
what she was going to say is the previous use on the,
forgive me.
like I said, the previous two uses on the building. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. One side of it was a drugstore. I'm not sure which one it was, but it was something like a CVS, Walgreens or something like that. The other side of the building was a dry cleaner.
Mhm.
Those were the two previous uses of the building.
Right. I think, it's right in our downtown. So I think we're all familiar with the building. But what I've heard tells me that there's an issue in play that I hadn't thought much about coming in. So I want to make sure that I've thought about that. It's an older building. I know that it has probably been changed a bunch over time. But I hadn't settled my own mind on the SHPO issues before I came in tonight. So that I need to think about. The other question I wanted to ask you is the facade, and I mean, I can sort of put myself there and visualize it, but I need to ask, is the facade visible at all from Harbor Island Park? Because and just for applicants counsel, in case you've thought your way through the policies, our view shed policy, we have taken the position that the view shed is broader than strictly what is visible from Harbor Island Park. But the one thing that is absolutely always within the ambit of our view shed concerns is if something is visible from Harbor Island Park, we must assess the view shed.
Barry, would you like to speak to that issue? Since you were
Well,
on the facade and it sounds like you're not going to be doing anything that's different than what has been in existence right now. And so the view will not be any different than what CVS had it. Is that correct, Barry?
correct.
Okay, it's going to essentially look the same as we're used to.
Again, the only difference would be there's a metal siding at the top of the building now, and it'll be replaced with a synthetic stucco material as opposed, the metal siding was probably in the 70s, added in the 70s,
Mhm.
I would guess. And it's nothing special about it.
Sure. Let me just, do you have a front elevation you could put up?
If I can get to it, it'd take me a minute.
Barry, I could put up. Barry, hey Barry, hi
You got
everybody.
something, Adam?
Chair,
Yeah.
Commissioners. Yeah, I can probably pull up a front rendering of it. Would maybe be
Okay,
the
that'd
best
be
thing
great.
to show in
If you
this.
could find it, yeah.
Barry, are you increasing the height of the building? through the
No,
facade?
sir, not doing anything to the height.
Thank you.
Most of what is being done for this building is interior renovation because of the fact that the use is different. That's the reason we were before the planning board, because we're going from retail to the church. But the footprint and square footage will not be increased.
I mean, no.
It's in the combined construction drawings.
Yeah, I can go dig for it. I'm hoping the applicant can just put it up, but I can go.
Hold on, let's see here.
Yeah, I'm working on it, but I'm going through my files now sorry, I wasn't prepared to show an elevation.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like he said, most of our renderings of the interior, because that's where we're doing the majority of the work. Here, I've got one here. Okay. Can y'all see that?
Mhm.
Yes, that's a front rendering. Thank you.
Both of the colors, the upper and the lower light colors would be stucco. And then it's a brick veneer below that with storefront. And we're painting the brick veneer. And we'll also be painting the brick on the two sides and the back.
Okay. And if
The
you can,
signage has not been approved, nor had we made application for it yet. This is more for my working drawing, so we'll know where to provide power for the signage. We'll have
I
to
think
Does-
I think the intervening rise blocks the direct line of sight from Harbor Island. And I'm trying to be transparent here. I literally want to check this item off my list. If I don't
Yeah.
have to think about view
Would a
shed.
picture across the street of the buildings across the street help?
I think, Thomas, I
No.
wouldn't, I'm not confident enough to say for sure, but I think between the rise and the bend of Mamaroneck Ave, if you were standing down at, where the flags are or at that top point of Harbor Island Park, I don't think you can see this,
Yeah.
but
That
I
would be the
couldn't say
only
for sure.
thing. And I'm thinking about driving up, and I think once you hit the rise at Prospect, that's going to block the direct line of sight. It's too far back from the rise to see it. I'm fairly confident that there is no view shed concern. Yeah, that's not the view that'll tell. That's not the view that'll tell you. You understand, sir, what it is I'm thinking about here?
I'm
This is
not,
what
I'm
is-
sorry, I do not.
Oh, okay. So we have a policy concerning view shed that specifically includes anything that can be seen from Harbor Island Park. So if you proceed all the way down Mamaroneck Avenue to where it meets the post road, across the street there is the entrance to Harbor Island Park. And if there's
Mhm.
just right at the entrance is a place where you can see a fair way up Mamaroneck Avenue. And and any building that you could see from that point, we would have to take into account view shed. And I'm just trying to think about whether there's too much rise right around Prospect for one to see all the way to the old CVS building that we're talking about. That's it. That is exactly the view I need.
Yeah, it's on mute. Yeah, I think it's the rise and it's the bend. I think even if you moved around down here, it only gets worse from that direction. So
That's,
I think there's no way you're seeing it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That would be
just
my
not
conclusion.
visible.
Yep.
It's around the bend. Okay, so view shed is not a concern, which leaves me only with SHPO. We've got no changes to water handling, no changes to impervious surface. The changes to the exterior appearance are fairly minimal and can't be seen from Harbor Island. That leaves me thinking only in policy terms about our historic building preservation policy and whether we have a SHPO issue. I don't know what else to ask about that. So I'm going to pass the mic to my fellow commissioners. Seamus, I think you've already asked probably what you intend to. Randy?
I'm fine.
Lisa? Do we have Lisa?
Here I am. Yeah, yeah. I'm fine.
Andrew?
I'm fine. And even with respect to SHPO, if that was a historic building 100 years ago, it might have been so modified from the CVS days that whatever significance was there may have been lost because it looks just like a standard box. So I understand we have to go through the SHPO process, but I just, that's not really high on my concern list.
Andrew, I agree. And I guess I would say, as I think about it, with no view from Harbor Island Park, and if you're in the Riverwalk that's directly behind this building, if the only thing that's happening there is painting, I'm not sure that even a SHPO designation, I'm not sure, Thomas, what you think, but I can't think of a SHPO designation. They might have their own thoughts, but I'm not sure it would change my assessment of how this impacts our policies.
Speaking for myself, I think SHPO is not a checkbox for our policy. We have to interpret these things with common sense. The policy for our purposes, and this is, I'm speaking only as one commissioner here. The policy, I think, for our purposes is whether we are being stewards of a resource that's been handed down to us. There's no historic or aesthetic resource that we're losing by changing the facade of this building. It's just another building in our commercial area. So I am undeterred by that, but I wanted to make sure, but I'm not forcing that view on anyone else. I'm speaking only for my own vote. Okay, so everybody's had a chance to ask their questions. Do we think we have enough information? And this is much like 124 Palmer in that there's so little exterior work that we could conceivably resolve it this evening. Do we think that we have enough information to intelligently cast a vote on consistency? Randy?
I do.
Yes.
Lisa? Lisa, Seamus?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, here.
Okay, well then I think we know enough. I'm going to move clean consistency for the proposed project at 275 Mamaroneck Avenue. I'll vote in the affirmative. Lisa?
Affirmative. Consistent.
Randy?
Yes.
Seamus?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
We are once again unanimous on clean consistency for this project. Our business with that is concluded. Thank you, applicant. Appreciate your time.
Thank
Thank
you, board. And may I ask Amber whether we will be able to be put on the May 26th calendar like the prior applicant?
You're anticipated for the next week's agenda.
We are? Did you say yes? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Thank you all so much for all your assistance this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Whoops.
And Esteban, if you've got something else that you need to do, I think we can fairly say that we don't need you at this point.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay, we have a couple of administrative items. We have the installation of new docks at Harbor Island Park. Do we have this really, it's on the agenda as an administrative item. This is really an applicant item. do we have the harbor master with us this evening?
I mean, I don't see, I only see Dan Natchez on as an attendee. So I did send him the link as a panelist.
I see him on as an attendee.
Well,
You see him on as an attendee?
Yeah,
The
I
harbor
do.
master?
Did you say Dan Natchez?
No.
Oh.
Sorry, I said that he's the only person I see on as an attendee.
Oh, okay. Yes, me too.
okay. Well, I don't see the harbor master. Somebody probably ought to be here to present it. Is Dan's not here in that capacity, I would assume. All right.
I mean, we have, I don't think I've seen any materials on this.
Right.
Now, we've
Alrighty.
been asked for an opinion by, the state, which contacted us and said that they wanted to make sure that we were notified and expressed any issues with it. As I understand the project, and I wish I had somebody here to walk through to make the presentation. As I understand the project, it is a simple in-kind, in-place replacement of existing docks that have reached the end of their lifespan. And if that is the case, the circumstance under which we have issues with in-kind, in-place are very scarce. But this is not a consistency review. We are the permitting authority for marine structures. So we're the permitting authority for anything that they have to do in the harbor. If it is in kind, in place, typically they do not need any kind of permit. And I think the state was contacting us in an abundance of caution. I wish I had a presentation, but as I understand the letter they wrote as I understand the letter I got and the photographs that were supplied, and I think those were circulated. It is simply in kind, in place. If that's the case, I propose that we respond to the state by telling them that it's in kind, in place, doesn't need a permit from us, and that if it did, we would grant it in due course. Does anybody have different thoughts?
Makes perfect sense.
Seems reasonable.
Do we, maybe two questions, because neither of them might be able to be answered right away, or not the first one. I'd like to be reminded of that letter with the pictures. If it was circulated, like when that was, I might look at it. It wasn't in our materials for tonight. And then are you going to put a letter together that we would have a chance to, maybe look at and send one-on-one comments back to you?
I should be able to get that around tomorrow.
Because what I can anticipate suggesting is some language around whether we know what the materials are, how big versus small of a project. I haven't really studied it yet, so I guess I'd want to potentially caveat a few things. In kind, in place is one thing. Same materials. I just don't know what I don't know without kind of looking at how much info they've given us. But if I had an opportunity, just one-on-one, not a group, but just to give you my comments on that letter after seeing what they've provided, I'd be satisfied with that.
Okay, so we should be able to handle this off agenda. I will make sure that staff circulates the photos and letter, and I can circulate a proposed letter, and we can talk about it. If we have any concerns, we can limit them to something that is truly an in-kind, in place, so that it doesn't raise any issues. All right, that should resolve that. We have another administrative item, which is the often put off minutes. I reviewed it occurred to me, I'm not sure what the procedure is if we need to amend the minutes. It may be so, we've done it so seldom in the last few years that I'm not sure that our existing institutional memory even tells us. Amber, do you know?
I know in other cases with other boards, they read them into the record, the changes, and as Barbara transcribes the minutes, she does make those changes. We might want to confirm what that process should be.
Okay. With that said, I don't think there's anything that was really critical to change in the January 2nd minutes, January 20 minutes from this year. I'm prepared to go ahead and vote those minutes. So I'm going to move that we accept the January 20, 2021 minutes. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I heard Seamus only. Dude,
Aye.
everybody's on mute. Oh, okay. Motion carries. Okay, I think that's the end of our items. Do we have any other new business that we need to raise at this meeting?
I'll just mention that this month we didn't have LWRP update discussions, and that's just because I didn't make much progress. So I'll continue to do that. I have the next step is the same as last time, which is a lot of information from our old commission member, Doreen Roney, which is very helpful because she was involved in this commission for a long time. So I hope that next month we can pick that back up, and apologies.
Thank you very much. We've all got stuff. This is an all volunteer commission. Okay, with that, I think we have run our agenda, so I will move to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We're adjourned. Thank you very much for your time, folks.
Good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Good night,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thanks, Amber. See ya.